Why is it that the moment something gets difficult, your brain suddenly screams for you to quit? It's not a gradual decline in interest. It's an immediate visceral urge to abandon the mission. You might believe you can simply try again when the conditions are perfect. You're lying to yourself. You scramble for the exit the second you feel the burn of real resistance. But a rare few do the opposite. They recognize that friction is the only thing that separates the authority from the audience. By the end of this video, you'll have the exact system to override your biology and force your brain to execute when it matters most. We're not talking about being motivated. We're talking about disciplining your brain to do the hard things. Take a cold look at your track record. How many times have you felt the slightest bit of resistance and immediately opened the door for negotiation? You know exactly how the dialogue sounds. I'll do it later. I have already done enough today. I deserve a break. You tell yourself you're being reasonable, but in reality, you're watching your potential bleed out, one excuse at a time. Every time you accept later as a valid answer, you're training yourself to be the person who never arrives. So ask yourself this: when the friction starts, who's actually the authority? Is it you? Or is it your craving for comfort? Here's the truth most people never face. Your brain is not designed for greatness. It's designed for survival. To your biology, anything uncomfortable registers as a danger. Hard work, discipline, and delayed gratification are treated like genuine threats to your safety. Your brain wants you stationary, warm, and fed. It's programmed to conserve energy at all costs. That's why the moment resistance appears, an internal dialogue begins. It doesn't sound like a villain. It sounds exactly like common sense. It's the part of you that tells you that pushing yourself today will lead to burnout, or that you've earned the right to go easy. Every time you listen to that voice, your brain learns a new rule. Discomfort equals escape. You're teaching your mind that when things get difficult, the exit door is always open. The more that rule is reinforced, the weaker you become. You're effectively training yourself to fail. Most people think discipline fails because they're not strong enough. They're wrong. It's because they've spent years training their brain to surrender. How long are you going to let hesitation decide your future? Think about how many opportunities you've already traded for a moment of peace. How many times will you confuse the comfort of staying still with the wisdom of moving forward? You tell yourself you're waiting for the right moment, but you're actually just waiting for the resistance to disappear. But it never will. You don't need a better personality. You do need more motivation to strike when the iron's hot. You need a brain that obeys. Look at the people who consistently do hard things. They're not emotional about the work. They never wait to feel ready because they know that feeling is a lie. Think about elite operators, top athletes, relentless builders. What scares people about these individuals is not their raw talent. It's their total lack of internal noise. When a task is set, there is no arguing. There's no hesitation. Their brain receives an instruction and executes it with clinical precision. While everyone else is still weighing the pros and cons, they've already finished the job. They've built a brain that has deleted the option to quit. You've admired that level of control for years, but you've never been able to hold on to it. The reason is simple. You've been attacking the wrong problem. The thing is, discipline's not a matter of gritting your teeth until your gums bleed. It's about reprogramming the very mechanics of how you make decisions. Most people treat discipline like a finite battery they have to recharge every Sunday night. They're mistaken. Every time you execute a difficult task while your brain is begging for a nap, you are installing a new rule. You're teaching your body a hard truth. Discomfort is not a commanding officer. Eventually, your brain stops checking with your feelings to see if work is permitted. It simply expects the work to be done. If you want a brain that does hard things automatically, you need a mechanism that removes the element of choice. Advice is just noise. Inspiration is a temporary chemical spike that will inevitably fail you. You need a protocol that works when you're exhausted, cynical, and completely uninspired. What you need is the Lotus Method. So here's how that works. Do these 5 things, and you get your brain to the level of discipline it needs. Number 1 is to catch the scam, because building a strong mind starts with how you label the internal friction. You must stop treating your procrastination like a character flaw and start treating it like a con job. When you hear that voice saying, "We'll start in 10 minutes," or "I need to research this more," you're not hearing your conscience. You're witnessing a con artist at work. Pause and label it. Say, "Nice try, brain. This is a scam." While everyone else is a slave to their whims, you've moved from the reactive back seat into the commander's chair. You're no longer playing chess blindfolded. You've turned on the lights and exposed the opponent. Number 2, lean into the flow. You can't overcome resistance by declaring war on it. Most people try to bully their way through a block, but that isn't discipline. It's a recipe for exhaustion. To rise like the Lotus, you've got to utilize the gateway task rule. Your brain perceives a massive undertaking as a threat, so it triggers a shutdown response to keep you safe. However, a 10-minute microtask is too small to set off the alarm. Don't aim to write the book, just finish one sentence. You should go for a run. Simply tie your laces first. By breaking the initial stasis, you trigger a neurochemical shift that generates its own momentum. You stop battling the current and start using it to carry you. Number 3, stillness. Stay still. Stop moving. Most people think they're being productive when they're frantic, but they're actually just vibrating with noise. Stillness is the recalibration. When you sit in silence for 10 minutes, you're allowing the neurochemical silt in your mind to settle. It gives your prefrontal cortex a chance to regain control and stop the alarm systems from the lizard brain. It's like a muddy pond. Only when the water's still can you see the bottom. By killing the background hum, you ensure that when you finally commit to a task, you're hitting it with concentrated force rather than a scattered panic. Number 4, intentional action. Now that you're not panicking, consider the precision of a master craftsman who spends years perfecting a single technique rather than dabbling in 1,000. Your cognitive bandwidth is a finite resource. Every time you switch focus or indulge a distraction, you're leaking power. Concentrate. Select one high-impact objective and give it 50 minutes of clinical, undivided focus. This level of singular attention lets you achieve more in an hour than the average person does in a day. It's this surgical focus that separates the elite from the merely busy. Step 5 is patience. You've got to trust the bloom, the process. This is where most people fail because they haven't got the stomach for the wait. A lotus spends a lifetime in the dark before it ever breaks the surface. Progress isn't linear. It's cumulative. Nothing seems to change for weeks, and then everything shifts in an instant. The weak quit when the reward is delayed. They try to force the growth and end up killing the root. You've got to adopt a new identity. You don't work for the accolades. You work because it's your nature. You stay relentless until the habit is no longer a choice, but an inevitability. Stop hunting for dopamine hits and start engineering a legacy. When you start operating like this, the world will react. People will tell you that you're being too intense, that you need to relax, or that you're missing out on life. Recognize this for what it is: social resistance. Most people can't handle the sight of someone who's stopped negotiating with themselves, because your discipline acts as a mirror to their own surrender. They want you back in the mud because that's where they feel safe. But you're not listening to them anymore. You've moved past seeking permission. Discipline is isolating. It's a lonely road, but it's the only road that leads to a life worth living. So here's your challenge for the next 24 hours. Identify one specific scam your brain is running on you today. Locate that one task you've been burying under excuses and address it with robotic indifference. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Don't check your phone for permission. Just execute. Now, go and apply the Lotus Method.